Hello and welcome to A Life of Compounding Interest. Thanks for joining us. Well, it finally happened. I paid $50 for gas the other day. My fill up was $54.50 to be exact. I rounded it off. Now, I know that the near $4 gas price that I was paying per gallon, not the highest in the nation by far. I also know that many people, that's nothing new. If you drive a larger vehicle or something like that, you could easily have a $50 gas bill. But you see, I've done a lot of stuff over the years to avoid that. I drive a hybrid, so I get about 40 miles to the gallon. I know it's not an EV, but I can generally expect to get a little bit more mileage out of my gas. But really, my routine keeps me away from that kind of sticker shock because I'm the kind of person that is going to fill up every week or two on schedule. And when I do that, I'm probably between a quarter and a half a tank of gas. And so, as big as my gas tank is, even if gas prices hit $5, I shouldn't see a $50 bill at the pump. But what got me as I was standing there, the pump had clicked off, the receipt was printing, and the reality of, oh my God, this is $50. As that hit me, I realized that it was much more than just gas prices. It was my maintenance program had broken down. I missed some stops along the way because I didn't fill up in the last few weeks. I had missed a couple of those. Life has been a little more stressful than usual recently, whether it was tax season, where being a solopreneur is highlighted as not as lucrative as the W-2 positions that I've held in the past. Maybe it's the school year is coming to an end, so the kids are requiring a little bit more energy to parent than normal. Maybe it's just looking for jobs, querying agents and publishing companies for some of the writing that I'm doing is just a constant stream of rejection. And maybe it's I'm slightly worried about the economy, the wars that are going on, and what life is going to look like in a few weeks and months. All of these things cause me to not have the mental bandwidth that I normally do. Because when I get stressed, I know for me, one of the first thing that goes is my memory. That short-term memory, remembering to do the little things when I'm really stressed is really hard. And so I could look back and tell myself a few times, hey, you need to get gas either when you leave or come back. And I didn't. And I missed it again and again and again. To the point that when I got called to do an errand on very short notice and I had to leave, I got in the car and it said, you've got 15 miles until empty. I didn't have time to stop on the way, so I told myself I will stop as soon as I get done with this appointment. I know where gas station is right there next to where I'm going. Well, the contents of that errand were a little heavy, and I walked out thinking more about that than getting gas. And I missed that notification for some reason when I turned my car on and I passed the gas station that I was going to stop at. By this time I had 10 miles until empty, so I knew that I could make it to my house and the gas station nearby. But what happened on that trip to the gas station near my house, I think is something that we don't pay enough attention to. Because that trip home, the 5 miles that it was, I was more focused on my fuel level than I was focused on everything else around me. I was constantly looking at that gauge as it ticked down from 10, 9, 8. And as I'm doing that, I'm ignoring everything around me. I'm not being as attentive to traffic as I should and normally am. I'm not paying attention to the scenery at all. And I'm questioning all the gauges. It's going from 10 to 7, and I'm sitting back and thinking, I didn't go 3 miles. What's going on? I will be very conscious of every time I press the accelerator a little harder. And that's what happens when we get stressed of an impending problem. We zero in on just trying to keep ourselves off the side of the road, keeping the bad thing from happening, that we forget everything else. And we're watching all the metrics that are leading up to that bad thing happening and trying to mitigate them as much as we possibly can. And I think that happens in life. I think that's what happened in this instance, because it was a beautiful day outside. One of the prettiest days that we've had in a while. There's lots of progress happening on this route, and I love watching the buildings go up and seeing the progress that is made every time I pass them. I had a kid in my back seat. They were asking me questions, and I wasn't as focused as I should have been on those. I wasn't focused on the other people on the road either. And all of these things just took away from the experience, the things that a lot of times I enjoy about driving, because I was only focused on how far I had until empty. Now, I think everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. If you've been driving for any length of time, you know that feeling whenever you could run out of gas. And you just forget everything else. And the anxiety level peaks, because being stranded on the side of the road, especially for something avoidable like running out of gas, it's scary. And when life starts getting stressful like that, we do the same thing. We zero in. And life is stressful right now. I think it's stressful for a lot of people. And there is something that staves off a lot of this anxiety, and it's the maintenance programs. It's the getting gas every week before you actually have to have it. And when things get stressful and we ignore the maintenance pieces, we forget why we do them. Because getting gas seemed not really important. Still had a quarter of a tank, right? It's still plenty of time to hit it on the next trip or the next trip or the next trip. When life gets stressful, we forget about those things. And the daily maintenance pieces are so valuable. There are routines that keep us connected. And whenever we're not stressed about getting from one place to the next before we run out of gas, before we hit the empty mark, before the bank account's actually empty, whenever we're paying attention to the maintenance and we're not stressed about those things, we get to see the beauty in everything else. It's not perfect. I'm not by any means saying that you shouldn't be aware of what's in your bank account and be trying to manage those things, but I don't think we can manage that stress at the expense of everything else. Because if we're going through life and we're not paying attention to the important things, then what are we working for? If we're so focused on the gauges that show us that we're about to break down, that we can't see the smiles on people's faces, the positive interactions, the kids that are sitting in the back seat having a great time, the progress that's happening around us, then life itself just feels harder, feels more meaningless. And that meaningless feeling, that feeling of futility, it keeps us from doing the maintenance. And it just builds this perpetuating cycle where we're in a constant place of anxiety and all we see is the bad. All we're doing is trying to ward off problems because the world has no shortage of problems that it can throw at us. But the maintenance kind of keeps us out of it. Those routines keep us with the level of focus that we need to enjoy the rest of things. So while I'm not glad that I paid $50 at the pump, I am thankful for that bit of recentering, that reminder that those little things keep me away from so much stress that isn't necessary. I'm grateful for that piece. Gas is going to continue to go up. The economy is not going to turn around overnight. And life for me may not get less stressful for a while. And all that's okay. But it's good to have that reminder to just pay attention to those little things. Pay attention to those routines because those routines are what helps us mitigate that stress. And in that, those routines help us actually enjoy life. As oppressive as waking up and eating the same breakfast every day may sound, wearing the same outfit every day, if that's what your productivity hack is, as much as those things feel oppressive if you just look at that in a vacuum, all of the good that it's doing for freeing up your mental space to take in the better things, well worth it. So yeah, thanks for listening to the ranting and rambling. I would love to hear from you. What are some of the routines that you may have realized that keep you away from a lot of unnecessary stress? And you know what I'm talking about when I mean running on empty, whether literally in your gas tank because of prices or figuratively because everything just feels more taxing and more heavy. Anyway, I'd love to hear comments and thoughts below. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I do just want to point out, if you want to support me, support the channel, I don't think I'm going to start anything like a Patreon or anything like that anytime soon. The biggest thing to help me out is just the views, the comments, and if you want to join me on this journey, pick up a copy of the book. That way you walk away with something tangible for any money that goes towards this project. I try to keep the prices pretty low, but yeah, check it out and give that feedback because I don't want to operate in a vacuum. I want the feedback of other people because at the end of the day, I think we could all use a little bit more gas in the tank. And I hope that I can provide a little bit of that for you, or at least give you ideas to help you manage it. So until next time, all the best. Cheers.